What would you say? I'm sure you've been asked this before. If you had to pick, a Stereophonics song, right, as one, you're allowed to keep one of the Stereophonics songs you could play. What would it be?
Tough with one, innit?
It is tough, yeah.
That's why you asked me.
That's why I asked you. Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
This one that comes to mind is probably the one.
It's probably a song called "Plastic California," which I mentioned before.
Yeah,
off Performance and Cocktails. The whole everything about that song live for me used to be amazing. The opening bass rumble, little riff, and it was very tragically hip, actually, with some of the open D chords and and the chords ringing and things, and Kerry just singing basically what he thought when he'd been to, after the first time he'd been to America, I guess, was what that song was written about. And, so that and it was probably a good, and we were riding a very, very high wave then of success, which was
So it brings back those memories as well.
Yeah, and made us all go a little crazy, really, and then want to come home.
Yeah.
But that song would have to be that for me. There's loads more. I obviously there's quite a lot of them I actually liked. Most of them I actually liked, actually. But that song, if there was one, I'll stick with that. So
would you be in rehearsal?
Because it's also very PC.
Okay.
Plastic California. So
right, yeah. I think you mentioned it in the other interview which I saw recently. I think I remember you saying that. And
yeah, I did. Yeah,
there's a video for it, isn't there? Am I right in thinking that there is somewhere?
No, I never made a video for Plastic California, as far as I was aware. It was never a single.
Okay.
It may have been in some other obscure country, but I don't think it was.
All right, I'll check it out again anyway, because I'll have another listen to
that. It's got a very tragically hip, fully completely album era.
Yeah,
that's a mouthful. Sort of vibe to it.
I'd probably like it.
Yeah. And live, it was a different animal again, because it kind of builds and builds, and and Kelly's voice used to. It was fantastic, really. And Stuart's drumming was crazy, and the whole thing live, it was a different animal again live. If you ever got a chance to hear that song being played live, it's from that era. I don't think I've ever seen a video of us doing it live from that era.
I think I looked it up, and I must have just played the track, and maybe some photos come up with it. I don't know, when you play songs.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Sometimes. So what do you do? What's your main thing these days? What are you up to these days?
I don't tour anymore.
No.
I'm back in the pub, back in the hospitality business.
Are you?
Yeah. So I'm a bar manager now at a pub, which I kind of worked on and off for 30 years. I was working in that pub just before I joined the boys in the band.
In the Aberdare area or something?
Yeah, it's a pub called the Welsh Harp. I'll give it a plug. Which is right opposite Aberdare Park. I don't know if you know Aberdare Park. Big, wonderful.
Not very well.
Lovely, a really nice, big, lovely park.
I've been there once. I think it's a beautiful place. People go for long walks, etc.
It's Aberdare Park, and it's also the country park, which is a bit higher up.
The country park.
But they have a road race motorbikes every year, which has been very famous for since the late 50s, I think. Obviously, we didn't have one last year, but anyway. But the pub there, so I've worked in this pub. I used to go back to this pub when we would have a break with the band. I'd go back behind the bar, and they said, "I got to see about." But I had about 10, 15 years off, obviously, when I went touring with the Phonics, so I didn't get back that much. But now I'm back there, so I'm just living the quietly. Well, it hasn't been quiet, and it's never quiet in the pub, but it has been obviously lately because there's been no pubs open, pretty much.
Still, do you kind of, do you do guitar stuff? Do you repair guitars and all that stuff?
I do for friends. I have done. Good friends of mine, and I don't advertise the fact because I just can't be asked anymore. I'd rather just play, and
fair enough.
but if somebody wants me to have a look, if I can fix it, I will, and if I can't, well, I'll just tell them to take it to somebody else and get some luthier or somebody to have a look at it. It's not something I really think about these days, to be honest.
Do you still keep in touch with the guys, I guess, do you?
No, I haven't spoken to the guys for a long time, actually. I don't know why that is. You just move apart. Obviously, with Kelly and Richard being in London, it's been a very long time. I think the last time I spoke was actually in Stuart's funeral. Wow. Which is 11 years this year. So.
Whoa, yeah. I noticed the anniversary was recently, wasn't it?
Yeah. So to speak to her face to face, that's probably the last time I actually spoke to Kelly and Richard. So and it's not that we'd fallen out or anything. It's just they don't come back very often. And Kelly's still got his mother and father live in a house which he built up in Cwmaman, but he may come back Christmas time, and Richard the same, I think. But no, I don't get any memos or anything to meet him up for a pint or anything. So I'll just leave it at that.
I thought they would have been regulars at the harp, darts.
Well, we were before, but that's probably not feasible for them now, actually, because that would be a nightmare, I would have thought, logistically, with obviously the success and stuff. But yeah, that's probably another reason. But because when we first started, that tour bus used to pick us up outside the Welsh Harp.
Oh, did it?
In Cwmaman in Aberdare, which was fantastic, because we used to have on the first sort of tour, we had a proper tour bus on, we'd all meet in the Welsh Harp. So we'd all meet in the Welsh Harp, suitcases, everything in the bar. And David and Jan, who run the Welsh Harp, they've been there 50 years, believe it or not, which is a feat in itself. And they're great people. And we used to all meet there, suitcases, bags, have a few pints. And then this bus would pull up opposite and we just jump on and we'd be on tour for 3 weeks, Scandinavia, Europe, whatever. And then we'd all get dropped off back there when we came home. So it played quite a big part, that pub, and it still does really in my life. But because it's a great, I don't want to go on about the pub, but I will. It's a great watering hole. I mean, and Mark Drakeford is banned from there, obviously at the moment, but that's for other reasons, as we know.
Fair enough. I've got a couple of quick things to ask you. One of them is a selfish one. Very briefly, right? I'll tell you, I'll go in a little bit of detail. I just bought myself a Gibson acoustic, right?
Okay.
I haven't had an original Gibson since I was a kid. So
wow.
It's a Gibson G45, which is like a slope-shouldered, a little bit like the J45.
A G, all right, okay, yeah.
There aren't that many of them around. It's got a Fishman Sonotone, piezo pickup in it.
Like Fishman.
Yeah, but this isn't one of the better ones. It's not one of the modern.
Oh, okay.
Electrics aren't great in it. What's the best way to get? What's your advice as a guitar tech? What's the best way for me to get a good live sound with
it's all personal preference, isn't it? I mean, we're all different. I mean, with how we think. Guitars.
I want it to sound like the guitar. You know what I mean? I want it to, because it sounds lovely acoustic. I want it to kind of sound. You want
it to sound like it does acoustic, but obviously amplified.
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah.
Which
I think it's the Holy Grail, isn't it?
Which is what we've all been trying to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really say. I tend to find I've gone through lots of different. I go through lots of different amps. I've tried lots of different amps and blah blah blah, and pickups and strings, and I can't really say. I don't know what
you might
say with that.
I suppose the best sound you're always going to get with an acoustic obviously is mic'd up. But if you're playing with a band, it's not really a starter, is it?
No, that's a tough thing to do anyway. Yeah, as long as it cuts through everything else when you're when you're playing at the loudest. I guess that's the best thing. As long as you can still hear that, those strings, then pretty much. And it's not about people think, oh, well, to do that, I have to turn the treble up and it'll have to be thin, and it sounds thin. And I mean, there's ways you can. I use one of these little. I've got a little Black Star acoustic amps now, and it's great.
I've heard they're really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and you can do a live stream.
Yeah.
Direct, you know.
Yeah. So spend more money is the answer, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think, well, yeah, obviously, like everything in life, unfortunately, you've got to, if you want it to sound that good, I mean, you got to be prepared to pay the bucks, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. That's me out the game, Simon.
Well, me too these days, to be honest. But no, I'd be happy. We'd have to have a little sort of go together one day and.
Yeah, well, maybe, you know, we talked about the jam night at the Bush. For those people who don't know, if you Google the virtual jam night at the Bush, it's a lovely thing, really, because it's gone all the way through lockdown. You know, so Greg and Mark, to their credit, it's had I think it's had press coverage and all kinds of stuff, and people just week by week keep each other with a sense of, you know, being human beings by playing songs to each other. So it's just really nice, isn't it? It's
fantastic, and I came across it by accident, funny enough. And as you know, I've done so many songs in there now. I've lost count, but and I probably can't remember any of them songs now. No, I have to always go back to them and think, why did I do that?
Or something, yeah.
But great concept, and like you say, I think they had a great bit of coverage, I think, on the news at one point and during lockdown, which was, I think Mark was on there, and fair play to them guys. It's been a bit of a godsend for me, to be honest.
And for a lot of people.
Exactly. And it's just a way. I mean, I've never been to the Bush.
Haven't you? Oh, right. No. It's a long way for you, and it's a long way for you.
Yeah, and I used to live in Ponty. Yeah. I'm from Ponty originally. I was from Hopkinstown, you know, but it's still a bit away from the Bush. But yeah, I've never been there, so I'm hoping when things do get a little bit back to normal, maybe by 2023, we can.
No, come. You know, I don't know the Welsh harp very well, but the Bush. I can tell you, you know, you'd be in for a warm welcome, and you'd be in for a bunch of people who don't care if you play originals or covers. They just want to hear live music.
Yeah, it seems that kind of vibe to me. Yeah, and I'm quite friendly with Tyler and Todd. You know, the Campbells, and because I've worked with them and stuff in the past, and they always say, you know, come down, you know, come. Because I think Tyler does like a quiz there as well sometimes, but when they're open, you know.
Well, so
I've been threatening to go down, and I will. But obviously, when it all gets a little bit more open, I look forward to it. To be honest.
Well, maybe I'll see you there sometime, and you know, you can have a look at my guitar, and I'll buy you a beer.
Yeah, that's what we shall do.